Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Today, we have a very exciting show for you guys. My name is Samantha Genzer. I'm going to be your show host for today. I'm very excited to get started. We're going to be covering the new Mattel Barbie dolls based on 9 amazing female athletes, the WNBA's new team outside of the U.S., a debate on MMA safety rules, the House v. NCAA settlement's effect on women's sports, and of course, make sure you guys stay to the end to hear about the CrossFit Semifinals and the North American West region and the Oceania region. Before we begin, I wanted to ask that you guys like and follow the show, and to become a part of our show, to tip and donate using the link gsmcpodcast.net. Also, we do get a number of questions that come in from viewers during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air and that I see them, use the link gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your questions and comments at the top of the list so that I see them. Also, it really does help the show, and we do really appreciate it. Okay, so now let's get started with today's content. I really hope you guys enjoy the show. Okay, so the first segment we're going to be talking about is my favorite for today, because I was a huge Barbie fan growing up. So especially with the Barbie movie that came out, I feel like this is totally like gonna really hit the ballpark. Anyway, so let's just get started. In honor of Barbie's 65th anniversary, Mattel and Voice in Sports, an organization dedicated to inequality in women's sports, have honored 9 trailblazing female athletes with one-of-a-kind dolls made in their likeness called Barbie role models. Athletes who had dolls made for them include American tennis legend Venus Williams, Canadian soccer player Christine Sinclair, Australian football player Mary Fowler, French boxer Estelle Moseley, Mexican gymnast Alexa Moreno, Brazilian gymnast Rebecca Andrade, Spanish para triathlete Susana Rodriguez, Italian swimmer Federica Pellegrini, and Somboda. This is a very special moment for Mattel in the world of women's sports, as interest in women's sports has increased tremendously, and having Barbie dolls sold for well-known athletes around the world is a great way to continue encouraging young athletes. We're going to get into detail about all these 9 athletes and their dolls because, there's a reason that these athletes were picked to be represented by the new Barbie dolls. So we're just going to get started into them. So starting off with Venus Williams, we all know her. Most of us know her from her sister, though, actually, but we'll get right into that. Okay. So Venus Williams is a sister of Serena Williams, and both have been dominant forces in women's tennis since the late 1990s. Venus Williams has won 7 Grand Slam singles titles, which include 5 Wimbledon championships and 2 U.S. Open titles. She has also excelled at the Olympics, securing 4 gold medals in singles in 2000 and doubles in 2000, 2008, and 2012, as well as 1 silver in mixed doubles in 2016. She has won a total of 49 career singles titles in her career and achieved the world #1 ranking in February 2002. Let's talk about some of her iconic plays. In the 2000 Wimbledon final, Williams won her first Wimbledon title by defeating Lindsay Davenport, making her first Grand Slam singles titles, and then in 2001 a U.S. Open final, she successfully defended her title by winning a thrilling final against her sister, and what was the first Grand Slam final contested by 2 sisters in the Open era. Also, just imagine having to compete with your sister. That's crazy. Venus Williams' influence extends beyond the tennis court. She has been a vocal advocate for equal prize money for women and men in tennis, a cause she championed successfully at Wimbledon and other tournaments. Off the court, she's also known for her entrepreneurial ventures and advocacy for gender and racial equality in sports and society. Williams, whose Barbie is wearing a white tennis dress and visor and has flexible joints that displays how agile she is on the court, says being included in the lineup of role models is honored. In the Mattel press release, Williams says, "Throughout my career, I've always been driven by the idea of shattering glass ceilings and staying true to myself, and Barbie's mission couldn't resonate more deeply with that ethos. Sorry. Next, we have Canadian soccer player Christine Sinclair. She is known for her exceptional skill, leadership, and longevity in the sport. Sinclair holds the world record for the most international goals scored by any soccer player, male or female, with over 190 goals. She also has won 2 Olympic bronze medals in the 2012 and 2016 Games and a gold medal in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. She led Canada to their first ever Olympic gold in soccer. Sinclair has participated in multiple FIFA Women's World Cup tournaments since 2003, helping her team reach the quarterfinals on several occasions and achieving a 4th place finish in 2003. At the club level, Sinclair has made an impact with the Portland Thorns FC and the NWSL, and she won 2 championships with the club in 2013 and 2017. Most notably, at the semifinals against the U.S. in the 2012 London Olympics, Sinclair scored a hat trick with a 4-3 loss in extra time. Despite the defeat, her performance is widely regarded as one of the greatest in Olympic soccer history. Christine Sinclair's impact transcends on field achievements. She is a role model and an inspiration for young athletes, particularly in Canada, where she has elevated the profile of women's sports for sure. Next, we have Australian soccer player Mary Fowler, and I think that she's probably in my top 10 favorite female soccer players. I don't know what it is, but she's adorable, and she is she's a legend out there. She is an emerging star, being only 21 years old. She made her debut for the Matildas at just 15 years old in 2018, and since then she has played in several clubs across different leagues, including playing for Manchester City and the WSL, which is one of the top leagues in women's soccer. Also, Fowler participated in the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2019 and was also selected for the Australian squad for the 2023 World Cup. Being so young, Fowler has the ability to be one of the most influential players in women's soccer, representing the next generation of talent in soccer, and she will definitely continue making headlines in the years to come. Like I said, she is in my top 10 list of favorite female soccer players to watch. I just feel like being so young, she is able to have such great representation for young female athletes out there. Next up, we have French boxer Estelle Mosley. She is known for her achievements in the lightweight division, winning a gold medal in the 2016 Olympics. Also, she has achieved considerable success in amateur boxing, winning the gold medal at the 2016 AIBA Women's World Boxing Championship in Astana. Mosley has also succeeded at the European level, securing gold in various championships throughout her amateur career. Overall, she is an inspiration for aspiring female boxers and a symbol of excellence in French sports. Her success has helped raise the profile of women's boxing in France and globally, contributing to the increasing popularity and recognition of the sport. I'm really happy that Mattel decided to choose a boxer athlete as one of the athletes to have a doll made for, because I feel like boxing isn't as common in women's sports. It's not as talked about as much. So I think this is a really great way to increase that representation, because if you're a young female athlete out there and you're playing with Barbie dolls, I think it's great to see that, there's a famous boxing athlete that has a Barbie doll for that. So it's just pretty cool to see that. Next, we have Mexican gymnast Alexa Moreno. She is really known for her performance on the vault. Moreno competed in the 2016 Olympics and the 2020 Olympics. While she did not medal, her performance in Rio was a significant milestone for her career and for Mexican gymnastics. She competed against the world's best on a highly visible platform and really represented her country. She also made history by winning a bronze medal in the vault at the 2018 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships. Moreno executed a challenging Sukahara double pike, which is notable for its difficulty and rarity in women's gymnastics. This achievement made her the first Mexican female gymnast to medal at a world championship. And then Moreno has also competed successfully at the Pan American Games, securing bronze in the vault at the 2018 event in Lima. Next is a Brazilian gymnast, Rebecca Andrade. I'm so sorry. I literally am so bad with pronouncing names. Okay, we just got a comment. Is there a Ronda Rousey Barbie? I don't think there is. That's so funny that that's being asked, because I literally was looking for one today. I literally was like, I want, because she is the most famous MMA fighter, and if there's not a Barbie doll for her, that makes no sense, I feel like. Maybe that will be Mattel's next launch. I hope so. I did not find one out there. So Andretti, she made history at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics by winning a gold medal in the vault and a silver medal in the all-around competition, which made her the first Brazilian woman to win an Olympic medal in gymnastics. She also excelled at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships, where she won gold in the vault in 2021 and silver in the all-around and uneven bars in 2022. Andrade has achieved success at the Pan American Games as well, where she won multiple medals in 2015, including gold on the vault. Okay, next, this is also one that I am very happy that they made a Barbie doll for this athlete. Spanish oh my gosh, this word is so hard for me to pronounce. Paratriathlete Susana Rodriguez. Not only is she an athlete, but she also is a doctor. She was born with visual impairment, so she has had a guide accompany her during races. Rodriguez won the gold medal in the PTBI category at the 2020 Paralympics, and she secured multiple titles at the ITU Paratriathlon World Championships. Apart from her athletic achievements, Rodriguez is also a practicing medical doctor specializing in physical medicine and rehabilitation. She has balanced her professional career with her athletic pursuits, even working in the medical field during the COVID-19 pandemic. Her ability to manage a demanding medical career alongside her training and competition schedules has made her performances even more notable. She serves as an inspirational figure, showing incredible dedication and commitment in both her professional and athletic life. And I'm really happy that Mattel decided to choose her as one of the athletes, because it is representing the Paralympics and hopefully getting more interest in all of that. Next, we have Italian swimmer Federica Pellegrini. She won the gold medal in the 200-meter freestyle at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, becoming the first Italian woman to win an Olympic gold medal in swimming. She also won a silver medal in the same event at the 2004 Athens Olympics and a bronze medal in the 200-meter freestyles at the 2016 Olympics. She has been incredibly successful at the FINA World Championships, winning multiple gold medals in various freestyle events, including the 200 meters, 400 meters, and 800 meter freestyle. Throughout her career, Pellegrini has set multiple world records in the 200 meters and 400 meters freestyle events, which has really solidified her status as one of the greatest swimmers in history, especially for her country. Lastly, we have Swoboda. She is known for her explosive starts and is three-time European Indoor Championship medalist specializing in the 60 meters. She's finished sixth in the 100 meters at the past two World Athletic Championships outdoors and is aiming to make the Olympic final in the event this summer in Paris. Most recently in 2024, she set a new, I love how I say in 2024, like this year. Most recently this year, she set a new national record in the semifinals of the 60 meters at the World Athletics Indoor Championships on March 2nd, with a time of 6.98 seconds, eventually claiming the silver medal in the final. She wrote in an Instagram post, "I want my story to show that it's always worth being yourself. You don't have to meet anyone's expectations or adapt to imposed frameworks to achieve your goals. Each of us has the right to express ourselves in our own way." Having these 9 new dolls is really significant to increase interest in women's sports and to enhance diversity and inclusion in athletics. These dolls can serve as role models for young children, particularly girls, by showcasing diverse examples of success and strength. By seeing dolls that resemble athletes who excel in their fields, children can be inspired to pursue their own interests in sports and beyond, and especially with less common sports like boxing. Also, traditionally, certain roles and professions have been underrepresented in children's toys, including women in sports. These Barbies help break down those stereotypes and show that women can succeed in various athletic disciplines, encouraging a broader perspective on gender roles from an early age. We all know Barbie's headline, their slogan, everything is, you can be anything, and this is really a great way to showcase that. For the athletes themselves, having a Barbie doll in their likeness increases their own visibility and acknowledges their achievements in a mainstream format. This recognition can enhance their influence and reach wider audiences, including people who might not follow sports closely. Like if you're someone who was very interested in the new Barbie toys, now you can learn about these new athletes. In addition, from a business perspective, introducing these dolls aligns with growing consumer interest in products that promote gender equality and empowerment. Culturally, it reflects and supports the ongoing shift towards greater inclusion and equality in sports and other domains. The founder of Voice in Sports, Steph Strack, says that recognizing these athletes is a way to show young girls that anything is possible if you pursue your passions. Throughout the year, the Barbie role models will host virtual mentoring sessions during the Barbie Dream Gap Project, an initiative that aims to level the playing field for girls in sports and beyond. These sessions will cover topics that are essential for young girls' developments: confidence, body image, proper fueling, and leadership. So we're now going to move on to our next segment where we talk about the new WNBA team in Toronto. Before we get into that, we are going to be taking a short little break. So I will see you guys really soon.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello everybody, welcome back. So we just got done talking about the new Mattel Barbie dolls based on famous female athletes. We also got a comment saying that there needs to be a Caitlin Clark Barbie doll. I agree with that. They need to make, well, okay, this is relevant because we're about to talk about the WNBA, but they do need to make a Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and a Cameron Brink Barbie doll. That would be amazing. Also, Asia Wilson. Can we please get those Barbie dolls made right now? That would be amazing. Anyway, we're now going to move on to our next segment where we talk about the new WNBA team. This is huge news for the WNBA. Okay, so let's get started. So the WNBA announced yesterday that it has expanded to Canada by awarding Toronto an expansion team, the league's first outside the United States. The launch was celebrated at a news conference in the city attended by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow, and rapper Drake, who is an ambassador for the city's NBA team. The new team will begin playing the 2026 season as the WNBA's 14th franchise. The team will be owned and operated by Kilmer Sports Ventures. The team will play its home games at historic Coca-Cola Coliseum at wait, now I don't know how to pronounce that word. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Okay, Exhibition Place in downtown Toronto. The place can seat almost 8,000 people. It is expected that additional games may be played at Scotiabank Bank Arena and across Canada, other places. The team has also committed to building a new state-of-the-art practice facility that will be dedicated to teams and community initiatives. The team name has not been announced yet, and we are going to be talking more about that soon. Toronto nearly received unanimous approval with the WNBA board voting 13-0 and the NBA board voting 29-1. Larry Tontenbaum is the chairman of Kilmer Sports Ventures, and he will be pretty much leading the new team. He paid $115 million for the team. He also is the chairman of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, which owns the NBA's Toronto's Raptors, NHL's Toronto Maple Leafs, and the MLS's Toronto's FC. Under his leadership, the Raptors won the first NBA championships in 2019, so I say that this team is going to be under good hands so far. Tannenbaum said, "Today is a game-changing day not only for women's basketball, but also for sports in Canada. This franchise will be Canada's team, and we are so excited to unite the country and inspire pride and passion in fans from coast to coast." Okay, so let me just show a picture of, this was everybody at the press conference meeting yesterday. With support of women's basketball on the rise, several cities expressed interest in launching a team after the most recent draft class, with the lead selecting Caitlin Clark as the #1 overall pick amongst LSU's Angel Reese and South Carolina's Camila Cardoso. There have been record numbers of viewership and attendance across the league. The WNBA Commissioner Cathay Engelbert said the league is expected to grow to 16 teams by 2028, and she is the blonde lady on the left of this picture. And she said, bringing a WNBA team to Toronto represents an important milestone for our league as we continue to expand both domestically and outside the United States. And then she also said, bringing a WNBA team to Toronto represents an important milestone. Oh, I'm sorry, I literally just said that quote. She also said afterwards, with Larry Tannenbaum's distinguished record of leading successful sports franchises and Toronto's appeal as a dynamic, diverse city that cares deeply about the game of basketball, we are confident this new team will thrive as a first-class WNBA organization and become a great source of inspiration and support for the Toronto area community and across Canada. This is also a monumental moment for women's sports in the country, especially considering that basketball was actually invented by a Canadian. I did not know that. Found that out yesterday. People are buzzing online about the team's name and marketing and what message the team will be sending to Canada and the world with its branding. On social media, one user suggested the Toronto Dragons, which was on the short list of names for the Raptors. The Toronto Aurora was floated by CBC reporter Tom Harrington as a nod to the Northern Lights. Others suggested North Stars or Huskies, the name of the historic basketball team in Toronto that predated the Raptors and disbanded in 1947 after only one season. Misty Meeks, a public relations expert at National, a Canada-based marketing firm, said to the BBC that the team's name should fit the culture of the time, but also grow and evolve over time and continue to stay relevant. She also said the name should tap into the significance of being Canada's first WNBA team. And then she said to the BBC, "You're not just launching a new team, but you're rather opening up the playing field for women's sports in Canada, and that's a huge endeavor. It's about standing for something far more than just a team." Also, during the conference yesterday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, "It's official, Canada is getting a WNBA team. This landmark deal will give opportunities to remarkable athletes across the country and on the biggest stage. I can't wait to see our Canadian women win on the court." And then Ontario Premier Doug Ford said, "On behalf of the province of Ontario, I'm thrilled to welcome the first WNBA team in Canadian history to Toronto. The WNBA will be a fantastic addition to Ontario's dynamic sports landscape, helping increase tourism and inspire more women and girls to get involved in basketball. I can't wait to cheer on Ontario's newest home team." Lastly, I wanted to mention another quote by Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow, and she said, "Torontonians are excited to welcome our very own WNBA team. This would not have been possible without the hard work of Canadian athletes who have created renewed enthusiasm and excitement for professional women's sports. I cannot wait to cheer for our team and watch them bring home a WNBA championships." Before we shift gears to our next topic, I want to take a moment to really unpack the significance of bringing a WNBA team to Toronto. This isn't just a new chapter for the city or the WNBA, it's a historical milestone in the world of sports. Bringing a team to Canada, where basketball has deep roots thanks to Canadian inventor James Naismith, is a full circle moment that highlights the sport's global journey and enduring appeal. The introduction of the WNBA into Canada marks a critical step in acknowledging and leveraging the untapped potential of women's sports in North America. It's a testament to the growing market and audience for women's basketball, driven by increasing support from both fans and major stakeholders in the sports community. This expansion isn't merely about adding another team to the league, it's about expanding the horizons of what women's sports can achieve commercially and culturally. Also, Toronto's vibrant multicultural backdrop makes it the perfect environment to nurture a diverse team that can resonate with fans globally. The city's history with the Raptors and their We the North campaign beautifully captured the spirit of an entire nation rallying behind a team. I believe the WNBA's presence in Toronto has the potential to replicate the success, creating a unifying symbol for women's sports across Canada and beyond. I think this was a great place to start outside of the US. And also, let's just briefly talk about the economic implications as well. The team is expected to boost local economies through job creation, tourism, and heightened media attention. The excitement around the team's debut could lead to increased investments in sports infrastructure and youth programs, particularly for girls in sports. I really think that it will. This ripple effect could catalyze a new era of professional opportunities for women in sports, whether as athletes, coaches, executives, or, in media roles like sports broadcaster, sports journalist. Additionally, this move by the WNBA could set a precedent for other professional women's leagues. Success in Toronto could lead to further international expansions, whether in Europe, Asia, or elsewhere, which in turn could foster a more interconnected and supportive global sports community for women. As we look ahead, the branding of this new team will be crucial. The name, the mascot, the team colors, these elements need to really resonate, not just locally, but nationally, tapping into Canada's rich cultural tapestry and the progressive values of its people. The suggestion like Toronto Dragons or Toronto Aura reflect a desire to anchor the team's identity in somewhat uniquely Canada yet universally appealing. It will be interesting to see what the final team's name will be. This expansion is showing a lot of progress, but it's also a responsibility. It's about building a legacy that honors the strides taken by past athletes and paves the way for future generations. So as we prepare for this team, let's also commit to supporting and nurturing women's sports at all levels, and ensuring that this growth is not just for today's fans, but for tomorrow's aspiring athletes in the same way. Ultimately, the expansion of the league into Canada is not just a win for Toronto or even just for women's basketball. It's a victory for women's sports globally, and I mean all sports. The establishment of this new team in a city of diverse and sports passionate as Toronto sends a powerful message about the growth and acceptance of women's sports on the international stage. It reflects a broader movement towards equality and recognition in athletics, where the achievements and potentials of women are celebrated on par with men. This expansion could potentially catalyze further developments, not just in basketball, but across all women's sports, and would encourage more young girls to participate and dream big. It's really an exciting time to be a fan of women's sports, I'll say, and I'm thrilled to see how this new team will inspire and unite fans across Canada and beyond. Now we're going to move on to our next segment, where we're going to talk about a safety rule incident in an MMA fight, where now a debate has stirred regarding the fighting protection for women's MMA fighters. I have a lot to say about it. Before we get into all the drama, we are going to be taking a short break, so I will see you guys really soon.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Welcome back, guys, to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done talking about the new team in the WNBA moving outside of the U.S. to Canada. We're now going to switch over to the MMA. We're going to talk about MMA safety rules under fire after a fight incident. This is really juicy gossip, and I do have a lot of opinions to give about this matter. Before we begin that discussion, I did want to remind you guys to like and follow the show, and to become a part of our show to tip and donate using the link gsmcpodcast.net. This also puts your questions and comments at the top of the list so that I see them and they get read on the air. So use the link gsmcpodcast.net, and of course we do really appreciate the support, guys. It does make a huge difference. Okay, so we're gonna get started to talking about the women's MMA, not WNBA, the MMA. Okay, so Tamara's Vidal's technical knockout loss to Melissa Gatto at UFC Fight Night 241, which occurred as a result of a punch to the breast, has sparked a debate in women's MMA. Tainara Lisboa, who was part of the UFC Fight Pass Brazil commentary team for the event, noted that the rules are the same for men and women, which means there is no foul for blows to the breast. However, Lisboa pointed out that such strikes could cause the appearance of nodules, which lead to breast cancer supposedly. We'll get more into that. That has been a debate among medical experts. The need for debate gained even more traction after reporter Evelyn Rodriguez post-fight with Melissa Gatto. Gatto said, studying for the fight, I noticed that talking about Vidal, that she felt a lot of pain with punches to the breast in some previous fights. So I made a point of asking the referee when he came to my locker room before the fight, if I hit the area, it would be a foul, and he made it clear that it would not be an illegal strike. The referee himself would clarify that if I hit her and she asked to stop, that I should continue fighting. He himself said only when I said so, and that's exactly what I did. Lisboa's remarks in Gatto's interview sparked further debate on the topic after UFC Fight Night 241. IMMAF refereeing director Guilherme Bravo made a point to emphasize that Gatto played by the rules. Bravo said, Melissa was intelligent, she studied the rules, noticed her opponent's weak point, and worked on it. The issue here was not to blame the athlete, but to raise a necessary debate for the evolution of the sport, which today is played by men and women, but the rules are made only by men. Carlo Barreto, the main commentator for the UFC Fight Pass Brazil, agreed with Bravo. Barreto said, I sent a message to Claudia Gadelha, who is now a UFC employee, as soon as the broadcast ended. Women need to come together to do something. It may not necessarily be changing the rules, but at least creating a official outfit for girls with a mandatory protective bustier. I don't know how to say that word, bustier. I literally don't know how to say that word. But I think protective breast area we'll go with. UFC is not redesigning gloves to evolve the sport. It would be the same path towards protecting women, especially if there are already studies proving the link between blows to the breast and breast cancer. Again, the Bravo also pointed out that the Association of Boxing Commissions will have a large meeting this year to define the down fighter rule, and this would be an excellent opportunity to discuss the issue as well. And Bravo said, debate is always important for the evolution of the sport. I think the girls could take advantage of this important ABC vote this year to bring this issue to debate. This is serious stuff. Okay, look, we are all aware of the dangers of competing in the MMA. Concussions are common in the MMA due to strikes in the head. For instance, we have heard the story of Tim Hogg, who was the former UFC fighter who switched to boxing and unfortunately passed away in 2017 after suffering a brain hemorrhage following a knockout loss. And then also there have been a lot of neck injuries, potentially leading to being paralyzed or other long-time disabilities, like when Jared Platt suffered a neck injury during practice that left him paralyzed from the neck down. More specifically about hitting to the breast, though, strikes to the breast can obviously cause significant pain and bruising. A hematoma in the breast is a collection of blood inside the breast tissue, which can occur after a traumatic injury to the area. It obviously would be painful and may even require surgical intervention if it does not resolve on its own. Then there is a risk of fat necrosis, a condition where fatty tissue in the breast dies due to trauma. This can lead to painful lumps, which can sometimes be mistaken for more serious conditions like breast cancer. And then, of course, breast cancer. Now, this is a debated issue in the medical community about whether trauma to the breast increases the risk of breast cancer. But still, just like the thought of that is important to show that it is dangerous to cause severe trauma to that part of the body. Here are the current fouls as to where you can and can't hit, etc. It's, here we go. Sorry guys. Someone also just wrote that it's tough to watch any MMA men's or women's. You know, honestly, some of them are very tough to watch. It can get very aggressive, and this just goes into how there does need to be more strict guidelines, and we will get into that soon. So right here are the official fouls. What is considered a foul? What is illegal in the sport? What you can't do? You can't butt with the head, eye gouge, fire or spit, fish hook, which is where you use your fingers in a manner that attacks your opponent's mouth, nose, or ears to stretch the skin. Hair pulling, pile driver, which is any throw where you can't control your opponent's body, placing their feet up in the air with their head straight down and then forcibly drives the opponent's head into the canvas or foreign material. Strikes to the spine or the back of the head, throat strikes, fingers outstretched toward an opponent's face and eyes, downward pointing elbow strike, groin attacks of any kind, kneeling and kicking the head, stomping on the opponent, holding opponent's gloves or shorts, small joint manipulations like, manipulating like joints. Knuckles, I meant, like, obviously they're joints. Like knuckles are like tiny parts of your fingers. Placing your finger into an open cut or body cavity, which sounds so disgusting. Throw an opponent out of the ring or cage. Clawing or pinching the skin. Timidity or / faking an injury, use of abusive language, flagrant disregard of the ref's instructions, unsportsmanlike conduct, and attacking the opponent after the fight is over. Okay, so that is basically the main types of fouls. There's a lot, and they all go into so much detail. I really respect that they have these very firm, detailed fouls, but on here, there is no mention of hitting in the breast. It actually shocks me that that is not even mentioned at all. I feel like that is a known fact that that area is particularly sensitive on a woman's body, and not just for certain women, like for every woman, it is particularly sensitive. Now, I'm not attacking Gatto, saying that she was in the wrong or that she did something wrong because she hit her opponent in the breast area. When you think of the competition, Gatto was smart. She saw her opponent's weakness and went for it. Now, that this has happened, I think there needs to be more guidelines on hitting this area of the body. Every female is sensitive to that area. It isn't fair for your opponent to hit you there. Like in the same way you can't hit someone in the eye to blind them. It's purely an unfair advantage, and it's not making the sport fun at all. Also, athletes with fewer injuries can compete for longer, and reducing the frequency and severity of injuries can significantly lower healthcare costs associated with sports injuries, benefiting both athletes and the organization. Along with this is the fact that fans want to see their favorite athletes compete regularly and at their best, not sidelined by injuries or unfair strikes. Safer sports can maintain high levels of competition and entertainment. There definitely needs to be a debate about this and how to go about stricter rules on where you can and can't hit. Women are required to wear chest protectors, but maybe this news is a sign that there needs to be more protection on the chest, maybe a better design or build of how a chest protector is right now. I do think that this issue stems from the idea that these rules were made by men, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's a thing. Like, that's just how it was made by men. So of course there isn't really a mention of hitting in the breast area and making that a foul. I do think that there needs to be a serious talk about this, though, and my idea of how stricter guidelines could be created going something like this. First, you need to talk to current and former MMA fighters, gather their perspectives and experiences, and then also speak to medical professionals who can educate you on why hits in certain areas are dangerous and can cause other health issues. And then afterwards, like, you should campaign and advocate to the governing bodies of the MMA and those that sort of run the league, define what you're advocating for, which is the overall safety of MMA fighters and their health, and include specific prohibitions on strikes in certain areas, mandatory protective gear, or more stringent penalties for violations. This is a really serious issue when you think about it. It just is a serious issue. We want to take care of something like this before it becomes too late, before this becomes a huge issue where now all opponents are attacking each other in the breast area because they know that's a sensitive area for every female. It's just not fair. It's not a game anymore. It's not a competition. It's just brutal. And I think there needs to be a lot firmer guidelines on that. I mean, if I was watching that, I'd be like, oh, that wasn't a fair call. I feel like that person didn't truly win, I guess. And I'm not taking I'm not taking a gadge against Gatto, saying that she was in the wrong, because, at the end of the day, she was a smart competitor. She fought her opponent smart. Like, she did the intelligent thing, found a weakness, and went for it. That's what you do in the MMA. That was a smart move. But I think there needs to be more guidelines addressing this, because it is a serious issue when you think about it, that this could stir a lot of injuries for fighters. And we don't want to see people continue to be taken out of the sport. Anyway, we are now going to move on to the next segment where we talk about the House v. NCAA settlement and its effect on women's sports. There's a lot to dive into on that. Before we begin, we are going to be taking a short break, so I will see you guys very soon.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back, guys, to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done talking about a debate with the MMA safety rules and guidelines, and we're now going to talk about the House v. NCAA settlement's effect on women's sports. This is a huge turning point in college athletics. Now, this is mainly about college football, but it does have a lot of effects on Title IX in women's college sports, and I wanted to give my take on my worries, my opinions, and what I think could happen. We are first going to go over some background information of what this settlement is and everything you need to know. This is honestly a lot of information in this case. It gets a little wordy and confusing, so it did take me a very long time to actually understand this. Also, just like any sort of settlement law thing, legal thing, there's a lot of confusing language in there, so it's fair to be confused. Anyway, I'm just going to give some background information. So the House v. NCAA settlement signifies a line in the sand. Not since 1984's NCAA v. Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma have we seen a court ruling fundamentally alter the landscape of college athletics in this manner, in the sense of the extremity. Not only does the settlement distribute roughly $2.8 billion in name, image, and likeness back pay, also known as NIL, but it also establishes a framework for future athlete revenue sharing. Details still need to be sorted out, but it's a landmark step towards getting players in on the financial windfall they generate. At long last, the players will get a cut of billions of dollars flooding into the NCAA conferences and individual schools. While the advent of NIL compensation was a step in this direction, those payments come largely through third-party collectives funded by big money boosters and average fans. Now, the athletic departments themselves are finally on the hook financially for the labor that fuels their products and underpins their budgets. On the other side, for decades, the NCAA fought on behalf of its member schools to preserve the amateurism model. This officially marks the end of that war. While the House Treaty ensures that NCAA survival as an organization, it will be a diminished entity on the hook for $1.1 billion of the settlement. That money will come from its reserves and through budget cuts. The entire system of college athletics was built on the idea of an unpaid labor force. With the highest cost in the sport unlimited, universities were free to spend nearly unlimited money on coaching and administrative salaries, facility upgrades, and much more. According to a USA Today analysis, programs wasted nearly $200 million on coaching buyouts alone during the 2023 season, an incomprehensible and frankly offensive amount of waste. Considering that the bulk of coaching salaries come from booster fundraising, it remains unlikely that high salaries will go away completely. However, programs will have to be much smarter about spending limited resources. The focus on facilities has lessons as name, image, and likeness payments take focus, and that should only increase now. The NCAA is considering removing the cap on guaranteed scholarships across sport. Instead of limiting compensation, the NCAA would attempt to protect competition by focusing on roster sizes. Right now, football teams can field 120 players, but are limited to 85 scholarships. In a future system, rosters could shrink to 100 players, but all of them could be on scholarships. That's not even counting for supplemental income from revenue sharing. But while football is the big fish, other sports could truly reap the benefits. But baseball teams are limited to 11.7 scholarships on a 39-man roster. That could change, but the Title IX implications could also be significant, as schools would have to fund 27 additional scholarships for women's sports. The increased scholarship obligations will be yet another major cost for universities. Not every program will be able to handle them, which will create yet another gap. The NCAA tournament does benefit from this, as it will preserve the NCAA tournament itself. But here's what I'm most concerned about: non-revenue sports. And I don't prefer using that term, but it is the term that people do use. So we're just going to go with it. At most schools, the non-revenue sports are basically everything other than men's football and basketball. It's often women's sports, which is a huge issue that we will get into. But basically, in addition to potential measures such as staff cuts and delayed facilities upgrades, non-revenue sports could be eliminated. And that is a real big risk for schools that are already struggling with financial issues. With the new revenue sharing model, athletic departments may need to reallocate their budgets to accommodate back pay and future payments to athletes. Since men's football and basketball are generally the revenue generating sport, they are likely to remain protected. However, women's sports, which typically do not generate as much revenue or in some places significant revenue, may see budget cuts. Fewer scholarships could be available for female athletes, which might limit opportunities for young women to pursue higher education alongside sports. And less popular, less visible women's sports program might be completely cut, which obviously reduces the diversity of sports offerings and limits the participation offering opportunities for female athletes. Women have worked very hard for years to get the recognition they deserve in the world of sports, and this risk of cutting certain women's sports is really alarming to me. A lot of athletes start at the collegiate level, where they make their name really known, and then they move on to the Olympics and professional leagues and such. I mean, we wouldn't know Caitlin Clark if she wasn't that amazing star at the University of Iowa. By removing some sports from the collegiate level, there are less opportunities for women to enter the Olympics and professional leagues. Now, when I say Caitlin Clark, I don't think that women's basketball would be cut anywhere. I don't. It generates a lot of revenue at most schools. Let's take a school, for example, and just show how they would be affected. This is just a hypothetical example, okay? And we're going to use Texas A&M for our example. We all know what that school is. Like, it's a huge school. It's known for its sports and academics. Women's golf is their least profitable sport. They made the least amount of revenue last year in women's golf. There are 9 people on the team's roster and a total of 3 coaches. If women's golf was completely cut from Texas A&M, not only would these 3 coaches lose their jobs, but these 9 athletes would lose their scholarships, passion, and commitment to the sport. For some, maybe these scholarships are the only thing that is helping them be able to afford and attend the university. So, like, what are they supposed to do? Like, just drop out of school? Like, it doesn't make sense. For some people, they are going to school because they play a sport, and for others, they're playing a sport to go to school. Also, these 9 athletes could be potential contenders in the Olympics. If their ability to play for their school was taken away from them, then they don't really have that same fair opportunity as everyone else to go try out for the Olympics. They don't have the ability to practice at a high level at a known university. It's not practical or in any way fair to just cut certain sports, especially women's sports. I also just want to go back to the Texas A&M thing. I don't think that women's golf will be just eliminated from Texas A&M. It still produces pretty good revenue. That was just an example because it's a well-known school. Anyway, I'm not saying that it's literally going to be eliminated. It was just a hypothetical example. Okay, anyway, moving on. I don't think it's practical or in any way fair to just cut certain sports, especially women's sports. Title IX ensures that women have equal opportunities to men in all aspects of educational programs, including athletics. Reducing or eliminating women's sports can lead to a disproportionate impact on female athletes, potentially violating federal law. And I'm so sorry, I just choked on my spit. Ensuring compliance becomes more complex when budgets are tight, and the focus might unintentionally shift to preserving revenue-generating sports, which are predominantly male-dominated. Another thing I wanted to mention is that if certain sports are cut, and I mean female and male sports, the diversity is reduced, which is terrible for a school's culture. Also, schools that cut women's sports specifically risk damaging the reputation among prospective students, alumni, and the broader community. Such actions can be viewed as a step backward in terms of gender equality and fairness, which might deter prospective students and donors, impacting the university's overall appeal and financial help. So really, cutting the sport wouldn't really do much good for the school financially when you think about it, and in the long term. Furthermore, women's sports have historically received less media coverage than men's sports. It has gotten better, but it has historically received less media coverage. With financial constraints, there might be even less incentive for college and media athletes to promote women's sports, which can affect the growth of these sports in terms of fan base and future revenue potential. This decreased visibility also impacts athletes' ability to capitalize on NIL opportunities. The shift in how college sports are financed and valued might influence long-term advocacy and support for women's sports. If women's sports are perceived as financially unsustainable or less important, it could set back efforts to promote gender equality in sports. This is critical, as the support for women's sports also influences broader societal attitudes towards women in general and sports and the professional level. So we're now going to move on to our next and last segment where we talk about the CrossFit Semifinals in the North American West and Oceania regions. This was all just a lot of information. I do have a lot of takes on this issue, especially regarding female sports, obviously. There is just a lot to discuss on here. So we are just going to go ahead and start talking about our next segment after we take a little short break. So I will see you guys really soon. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for staying tuned in for our last segment. I'm excited to talk about our last segment. CrossFit is so fun to watch, and there's a lot that's going on in CrossFit right now. So we just got done talking about the House v. NCAA settlement effects on women's sports. Now our next segment titled CrossFit Semifinals Top Picks for North American West and Oceania regions. The North America West semifinal will be held on the 24th to the 26th. So today to the 26th, and the Oceania one is held from the 23rd to the 26th, so it started yesterday. From the North America West region, the top 8 women will qualify to compete at the Games. I'm going to be talking about some female athletes who I think will make it to the CrossFit Games, as well as some athletes that I think you should watch out for because they are going to be good competition and whatnot. So obviously this is not the official people that qualified for the CrossFit Games, but these are just the people that I do think have the huge opportunity of qualifying for the Games, and we are going to get into that. Okay, so first up is Alex Gazin. I really think she's going to make it to the Games. She is really above everyone else in the region. In the quarterfinals, Gazin finished first in the region. She started competing in 2018 when she was in the 16 to 17 age division. I think that Gazin is going to be placed first, and in second would be Ariel Lowen. Lowen is also kind of just ahead of everybody in the region also. She has always been a standout competitor. She was on the podium last year in the Games, and that experience is really going to help her take off. In third, I have Emily Rolfe. She's very consistent. She has gone to the CrossFit Games a few times. She's looked good in the off season. So I have confidence that she's going to be one of the qualifiers. Moving on to fourth, I have Olivia Kerstetter. Now, she did have some holes last year, but she's training hard and she is young, so she is making big jumps since her body is not technically fully developed yet. She is one of the stronger and more muscular competitors, so she probably won't be able to be the fastest and most flexible gymnastic-y competitor, if that makes sense. And when I say like gymnastics-y competitor, I mean kind of like flexible and like able to do these. I like don't even know how to explain it. Like there's not really a solid way to explain like gymnastics-y, but just more flexible and I guess being able to jump high, like things like that, like having those like quick burst of energy kind of movements, you know, like the look of a gymnast basically, I guess. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's sort of what I mean. So I do think that she has some of these holes or flaws that will make her not a sure pick for the 8 that will qualify for the games. But I do want to say I do think she has such a strong chance. Next at 5th is Bethany Flores. She made it to the games last year. Last year she had a back injury though, and she came to the semifinals unsure if she would make it to the games. But then she ended up qualifying and competing at the games, so she sort of shocked everybody there, and it really showed off her resilience and mental toughness. However, with her past injuries and the injuries that she is mitigating now, she will have a bit of a struggle really securing a spot in the games. This is going to be a challenge for her, especially considering her back injury, because if your back is in pain, literally almost every movement you do is going to be affected by that. And obviously lifting these heavy weights is not going to help your back pain at all. And most of the barbell movements, which include very heavy weights, do require a lot of back strength and I guess, what is it called? Like when you need to balance through your back? I don't know, that, whatever that is, having that ability to balance with your back and being able to stand up strong, like being able to stand up straight, like you're gonna need that. Like your back strength is going to help you with your form. Your form is gonna help you be able to lift heavy and be able to not get disqualified. So anyway, before we move on to 6, actually, I just wanted to say that these workouts in the semifinals this year give more of an advantage to the bigger athletes. For example, when you look at the rope climb and then the box jumps, which is in one of the workout sets, a bigger athlete would most likely do better with the pulling power, and by being taller, they're able to get on the box a lot quicker. Moving on to 6, I have Danny Spiegel. She works well with the more gymnastics-y movements, and some of these workouts have these aspects, so I'm thinking she would do well in those events. It will really come down to the lunges for her because I think she has that speed, balance, and flexibilities. But, staying in your lane and holding the dumbbells is also a challenge in this event, and I think she will perform well in it compared to how we saw some other female athletes do in that event. I have high hopes for her for that. Kelsey Keel is at number 7. She is tall, so I think she will have an advantage in some of the workouts, like the rope climb, where she maybe can get a big jump on that, box jumps with jumping. I think she will also do really well in the snatch workout and in the snatch workout and, like I said, like the box jumps. She's definitely going to perform very well in the dumbbell lunges because she has been training a lot for those, and she has those long legs that will benefit her. Her season almost came to an end though in the quarterfinals, and with that happening, she could be hungrier than ever, or it could maybe lessen her motivation, but I really don't think, knowing her history of competing, this will lessen her motivation at all. I think she's going to be hungrier more than ever for sure. Lastly, in 8, I put Kyra Milligan. She competed as a team last year and has done some individual semifinals before. She qualified in the online qualifier to go to Rogue, which is very difficult to do. Also, last year when she was on a team, she went to the games, and having that experience will help her to have the confidence to be added to the top 8 and move on to the games in the individual division. Overall, this region is so stacked with amazing strong women that have performed very well in the past, so I really think there could be some surprises as to who actually qualifies for the games. So with this list of 8 that I just gave, I want to make it clear that we probably will be seeing a lot of surprises in the semifinal region, and I'm sure that there are going to be a few other athletes that sneak into this list. It all depends on what happens this weekend and how everyone is feeling. Now I'm going to talk about some women to watch in this region, the semifinals, and starting with Devin Kim. She won the games in the past in the team division. She also competed in the team division a little while ago, so she has really been doing this for a long time. The reason that I don't have her on the list of 8 is because she has a back injury, and there was some confusion regarding all of that. She was technically supposed to be on a team this year, but she ended up getting taken off the team roster because of her back injury. So I'm just a bit confused about the fact that she is too injured to be competing in the team division, but she isn't too injured to be competing in the individual division. If that makes sense, I just don't really know what's going on with that situation, and just the fact that I have confusion about it and just questions about the back injury and things makes me a little bit less confident that she would be in the top 8. The other person I have is Abigail Dommett, who placed second in the quarterfinals. I don't really have much to say about her other than that she is so strong and naturally athletic. Her natural skills will definitely help her in the semifinals. I think that she's going to be a strong, at least a fierce competitor, or end up in the top 8. Also, before we move on to the Oceania region, I do want to say that I've never seen someone look so pretty competing, like in a CrossFit challenge. Like the way that she's on those like, how does she look like so pretty competing? Like, do you guys see that her like skin looks perfect? Anyway, that was a random thought, but I just want to say that like she looks like she just like is like all like makeup's all done, hair's all done, like not that she just like is drenched in sweat. Like, I'm confused. Anyway, moving on to the Oceania region, where only the top 4 qualify for the CrossFit Games. It is going to be more competitive, I guess, there in the sense that they're only going to be top 4, but that does mean that there is less competitors. Anyway, so in first I have Madeline Stewart, who competed in the games 4 times. In the quarterfinals, she had 2 first-place finishes. She was overall first in the quarterfinals in her region, and she did very well in the opens. In second, I have Grace Walton, who placed second in the quarterfinals. I feel like that was a good place for her, and she's going to continue in that direction in the semifinals. The only thing that concerns me about her is that she didn't place first or second in any workout, like any individual event or workout. At third, I have Caitlin Van Zyl, who placed third in the quarterfinals and placed first in one of her workouts. I think she may actually place second, while Walton would finish in third. I see that those positions could switch. And then lastly, on fourth, I have Georgia Pryor. She did not do great in the quarterfinals. She still did good, don't get me wrong, but she placed 12th, and that wasn't her best position going into the semifinals. But the reason I have her in here is that she has been competing in CrossFit for so long, and she has yet to make it to the games. I think this year, with how much she has improved and increased in strength and skill, how much she's been training, she is going to be hungrier more than ever and really push for that spot at the games. I really see her getting up there. I just have that feeling that she will be up there. Don't count on that though. It's just like kind of like one of those things where you have a feeling, you're like, well, you worked hard and I can see you're hungry and very motivated. I'm feeling you're going to be up there qualifying for the games. It's one of those feelings. But also, she has a great reputation and she has been a great competitor for many years. So, you know, I do see her being in the top 4. So that concludes our show for today. I had a lot of fun talking to y'all with the show. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And we also do a YouTube Shorts every day. Thank you guys once again, and have a wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my